Yeah. Oko nyamili, nyamili. Koko nyamili, nyamili. Koko nyamili, nyamili. Koko nyamili, nyamili. Igbole, Igbo bunu ndamamihe. Igbole, Igbo bunu ndamamihe. Ebulanyelu, anamabara na ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye ofeke. Anamabara nụ n'ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye feke. Igbo bụ n'ndike, ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike. Igbo bụ n'ndike, ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike. Koko nyamini, nyamini. Koko nyamini, nyamini. Koko nyamini, nyamini. Koko nyamini, nyamini. Hey, cha 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 cha. Igbo kwazon, yeah. Igbo kwazonu, yeah. Ihe ji mara ndị ihe bụ ọrụ aka ha. Ihe ji mara ndị ihe bụ ihe aka ha. Ihe ji mara ndị ihe bụ ọrụ aka ha. Ndị anyị were omenala dowe n'azụ, were omenala ndị ọzọ bulie elu. Ndị anyị were omenala Igbo dowe n'azụ, were omenala ndị ọzọ bulie elu. Ihe anyị na-eme Chineke na ọ dịrọzi mma. Ihe anyị na-eme Chineke ọ dịrọ mma. Ihe anyị na-eme. Day one, good morning, good morning. Ekele diri Chineke, all blessings, all honors, and whatever we want to call it, to the Most High for this wonderful opportunity called today. I am so grateful to be alive, and I'm sure you are as well. There are many people who did not see this day. Here we are walking amongst the living, breathing, inhaling and exhaling. What joy that is. You know, there are so many people that you and I know that are mourning today on bad health. And so we should be very grateful for where we are. I consider myself extremely fortunate that I am one of those who have not in perfect health, because nobody's ever in perfect health, but good enough health that I am here still celebrating life. So, ekele diri Chineke. Thank you, Chineke, for this wonderful, wonderful gift that we call today. I'm just going to start as is traditional, and that is to offer you chalk. You know, this is our tradition, and I'm going to do it for you. If you don't have it at home, go and get it. It's called, this is the charger. This is the charger. This is how we greet each other in our homes and also in church, in Obiobase. You know, and inside of this contraption is the white chalk, okay, koalin. This koalin has so many medicinal uses. When a woman is pregnant and she's having upset stomach, she may use the koalin. She'll chew the koalin and it will settle her stomach. We also use it in this manner. I insert my right middle finger and I put it on my wrist. And that means for me today in welcoming you, that you are welcome. Everything about you, it is my responsibility, our responsibility, the Chiis trust today. It is our responsibility to make sure that you are welcome in our midst. And quite frankly, we also want to say that everything about you is of importance to us. And we ask that Chineke blesses you while you're with us. And while you're with us, nothing but goodness shall follow you. So welcome, welcome all of you. Before we get started today, I'm going to offer a prayer. And I think it's very, very important. This is the month of Ipiale. Ipiale in the African Uzonto, that is our horoscope. This month of Ipiale runs from January 14th through February 10th. It is a time for new planting, new tilling of the land, not just the land, the crops of the land, but your mind as well. It's time to water new ideas. It is time for personal abundance, seeking abundance. It is technically represented by the symbol of the corn. The corn is a symbol which symbolizes agricultural abundance. But personally, it is time for us to sow new ideas, new significance, consider what is significant in our lives and what are not significant in our lives, and just kind of push away those things that matter. You see, when you plant, you certainly watch for weeds. You see, so when the weeds surround your plantings, you have to weed it so that they don't consume the necessary nutrients and ingredients needed for your plant to grow properly. So that's why it's so important when you're planting the weeds, you're planting the seeds in your mind, make sure you don't have weeds around you. And I'm talking about the human weeds, the naysayers, those who say, no, you can't. You need to be able to say, yes, I can. Nike Chineke. As long as I walk with Chineke, everything I plant shall become a reality. Everything that we ask in our prayers today, we must believe that we have planted the right seed so that we can receive the fruits of our plantings. Ask yourself, today is the month of Ipiala. What have I, through the year, what have I planted that I want to see materialize? What is it that you have done, that you have strong faith in Chineke making a reality for you? Now, if you haven't planted anything, don't be out here asking for nothing. You had a whole year. This is a brand new year. You had all of 2022. What did you plan? What did you plan? What are you asking for Chineke to grant you today? Based on everything that you've done, are you starting from scratch? Well, some people start from scratch. Some people, it takes you a little while to plant. But everything that we ask today has to be based on the fact that we have already done what we're supposed to do. Chineke wants us to do the right things in life. That's how you plant your seeds. When I talk about seeds, I'm not just talking about agriculture. I'm talking about seeds of the mind. What have you done to develop yourself? What have you read? Who have you spoken to? What have you done? Are you still living in lack? Are you still in the valley? What have you done? What have you planted to raise you up? Or are you still hoping for miracles? Miracles happen through your hard work, through what you have done. So in this powerful month of Ipiala, we have big things on our list, and we pray that it will not be long before we can reap the benefits. I strongly believe that it is not impossible to, for those of us who may not have taken the time to heed Chineke's requirements, to focus on planting new things, that we will start today. If you didn't do it all through last year, don't give up. But you must start though. There you go. Chineke has given you another year. We got another year. 2023 is here. Plant. In this month of Ipiale, start planting. Throw away old ideas. Weed out the human weeds that surround you. You know who they are. You know those people who drink, and you know you don't want to, you're not a drinker, but you welcome them and they drink and they talk foolishness, and in no time you're drinking with them. You know, those who do bad things and they convince you to do it, weed them out. We hear Chineke chọrọ ka ime in this month of Ipiale. Only goodness should you want. Only good things should you plant. What you plant is what's going to happen. Those of us who find ourselves in financial ruin, I may not believe we can fix it. Yes, you can. Those of us who have not planted faithfully for peace and continue to have people stress us, this month shall bring us freedom from these concerns. If onye na chokofo, you guys have heard us say this so many times. If onye na chokofo, what you seek, so shall you find. What is it you want? Plant it. Quiet. Plant is quiet. Speak it into the universe. Believe it. If you don't believe it, it will not happen. Everything you have in your heart is what you're planting. May Chineke grant it. But just be careful what you're planting. Don't plant evil for anybody, because when you do something like that, evil may happen for those people that you have that evil thought. That is not what you're planting in the month of Ipiale. You plant good seeds, good things come to you. You plant bad seeds for somebody else, you have ill intent for somebody else, you will be amazed at how that boomerangs and comes back to you. With obioma, use a kind heart in your relationship with the world, in the relationship with nature, in your relationship with your fellow human beings. Think positive thoughts. Don't ever try to undermine a woman, a man, a child. Have nothing but goodness in your heart for everyone. Because like I said, imemma inatama, imenjo inatanjo. Only goodness follows you if that's what you wish, if that's what you've planted. In this month of Ipiale, we begin to think bigger, trust deeper, and water our intentions in Holy Spirit. It's possible. All that we have planted all year would increase our faith, and we would see nothing but miracles stemming from our hard work. If onye na chokofo, what do you seek? Plant it, think it, and it shall become reality. And at this time, I would like to welcome Diba Ochuajas. You the on your hand. Ndewo.
Try Akuma and Cow. Okay, Diba, Mary. Ndewo. So this is a great topic. Something that probably is long overdue to be visited. So let's do it. Let's go.
Excellent. Welcome to Diba Yudi. Now I'd like to welcome Diba Chiedozie. Chiedozie Ndewo.
No, Mama. Diba Ochuajas. I know. I know, darling.
God, Mama. You know, for those of you who don't know, Mama means may nothing but goodness. May you see nothing but goodness. Mama, goodness. Welcome, Diba Chiedozie Kano. And now I'd like to add, Diba, Monet.
Yes, I would like to say Mama too. I don't know if I said it right, but Mama to everyone.
Yes. Oh, you got it right.
Thank Chineke.
Yes. Nothing but goodness to Chineke. I want, this morning when I talked about planting seeds, there's a very important seed that we all have to consider planting, and that is honor our parents.
Yes.
Honor our parents. Many parents are languishing wherever they are and they don't see their children. Sometimes we send money because we think money will take care of it. Money doesn't. Money is a temporary band-aid. That's all it is. When you pay attention to your aging parents, the greatest gift you can give them is to show up now and then. Show up. Yes. Yeah, they love the money you send. They bank it. But I can guarantee you, they always wonder, when would they see their baby again? I want you to watch this video. It's so touching. It is about a young man that had been gone for a long time. And then finally he shows up. And the joy of the parents when he came. Watch this.
What would I do without your love? Hey, marvelous God, feel the warmth of your arms around me. Hey, look what you've done already. Look what you've done already. My eyes are open to see. My ears are open to hear, Lord. And my mouth is open to speak of your love, of your love, of your love, of your love. It is your love, oh. It is your love, Lord, that I will testify about, oh my God. I say, what would I do without your love?
You just broke me down.
I know.
I'm just really, excuse me if I cry, but I'm a little broken down right now. I think about Mom. I just came back from the funeral. And I think about, maybe I should have gone every year. Going every 3 years was not enough, or 4. Although the last 4 years I went home 3 times. You know, but then I think about Dad, and I'm very broken up right now. But you guys excuse me, I'll be all right. Let's go.
So, as you plant your seeds this CPR, I know how you feel, Yudi, because I feel the same way. I'm trying to hold it together. Many of us ignore our parents until they are gone. That's when we suddenly remember them. If you haven't spoken to your living parents, do it today. Trust me, you don't want to be where some of us are, because we lived so far apart from our parents. And now that they're no more, for the rest of our lives, we are always going to ask, could we have done something different? Don't be that. You can do it now. You have the opportunity. So do it. Call Mom. Call Dad. Go visit. Make it part of your budget. Go see them. Don't use money as an excuse why you didn't go. Go as often as you can, because they don't last forever. Death happens to all of us. You will lose yours too. So don't wait.
You have to excuse me. I didn't mean to break down.
Wait, man. That's okay.
That's okay.
We needed that release. We needed that release. We needed that release.
Yes.
So next week we are going to show the funeral of my mom. And let's remember, it's not just the funeral of my mom. It's the first lady of Chiism, of Godian religion.
Yes.
That was her homegoing. So we're going to share that, and then we'll have a conversation. So please, as many of you as can join us, let's celebrate our Queen Mother, the Queen Mother of Godian religion, Queen Mother of Chiism. That's next week. All of us must be here. It was a beautiful send-off, and it is a good thing for us to watch it. So anyway, today we have a special topic, and everybody can present it the way, they're familiar with it. Today we are speaking about the Ofonogu, the symbol of influence which traditional rulers, Nze or Ozo in Igboland, title holders, a high sage of an oracle, must have to lead his or her followers effectively. Now, if a traditional ruler is moving outside the domain, the house, the Ofo must go along to signify sincerity and authority. Now, both church and traditional leaders have Ofo as culturally relevant, because the church has their own. We traditionalists, we have our own, which makes our call sacred and divine. Unfortunately, the original intent of the Ofo is either being misused or totally ignored, to the detriment of the spiritual and conscientious well-being of our people. So I'm going to ask our DBS to have a conversation, to start the conversation about the Ofo. Let me start with Dibia Yudi Onyoha.
Yeah, this is really, really an important topic to visit. And the reason why it's important to visit, it's the idea of behavioral control, which is really our spiritual responsibility to control behaviors. On the surface, Ofonogu, in concept symbolizes righteousness and uprightness, and is used in our social, cultural, and religious discourse to stake claims of innocence, and having truth and justice on your side. But really, beyond being a symbol of authority and, the symbolic nature of it with the Ofo tree, there's an Ofo tree, of course, that you have. Ofo can be made out of bronze. It also can be made out of wood, right? And there's a level of, should I say, patriarchal lineage involved in Ofo. And you talk about priests, you talk about masquerades, you talk about the male essence behind Ofo, which really has nothing to do with the actual etymology. It's about behavioral control. And when you talk about behavioral control, and I'm sure that Dr. Chidozie can go into a little bit more detail, but when we talk about behavioral control, you're talking about behavioral control of both man and woman. So there's nothing really in its etymology patriarchal about it or metrical about it. It's about human behavior. And as far as I'm concerned, human beings have two sexes, male and female. So I just want to get that out there. And the idea that things evolve, you can't be so conservative, whatever those reasons may be, you can't be so conservative that you don't evolve with the times or lose sight of the actual etymology of what Ofona Ogu is all about. Number one is about behavioral control. Number two, you have to deal with the traditional ontology. And the Godhead is Anyanwu, Chineke, up there. Anyanwu, Anyanwu, the eye that never dies. And next to this sun, to Anyanwu, is Ofonogu. Ofonogu symbolizes Chineke's sense of truth, justice, and fair play, and good conscience embedded in a person's soul. Ofonogu in the ontology represents the soul of a human being and conscience, which is really the most important part of human relations. You can talk about anything else you want as far as humans are concerned and all that, but it's your relationship that is above everything else. And let's not forget that when we talk about life-sustaining forces, a human being is part of that life-sustaining force. It's not just about the air you breathe. It's not just about the food you eat, the fish in the river, the water, the sky, and the earth. It's not all about that, because without the human being, what is the significance of all these other life-sustaining forces? Without other human beings and your relationship, how would you survive? You certainly cannot survive alone. You need another human being for life to be worthwhile. So to be able to foster good relationships and make sure that people don't overstep their boundaries of onogu is part of behavioral control. To be able to have this relationship with all these other life-sustaining forces. Now, built into a human being is a self-preservation instinct, an automatic response by a person when he or she feels that their existence is in jeopardy. Do you know what that is? The response to such threat is what? Violence. It's part of human nature. The response against threat is usually violence, to make it safe, to say that violence is inbuilt in a person. It is part and parcel of human nature on the principles of self-preservation. Therefore, to talk about nonviolence in a violent society, in which society is raged against a person, oppression against freedom, and repression against life itself, it is to Chiism a clamor that does not accord with the fact of human nature. In other words, oppression is not part of human nature. Therefore, self-preservation is very relevant. Our present is a scientific presence, a pragmatic presence, and our approaches to the solution of our human problems must be as well scientific, practical, pragmatic, recognizing that what is true in human nature. These, how should I say, the days of highfalutin idealism are no longer here with us. And so Chiism does not teach anyone to turn the other cheek. Slap you, turn the other way so I could slap you back, just like they say in the Bible. No, self-preservation is key. And that's what Ofonogu really is all about, to preserve the person. Now, there's a difference between self-preservation and actual physical threat from without. For example, you are being invaded by somebody else or some other culture or an army. You have a right to fight. It has nothing to do with Ofonogu. Ofonogu really has to do with your personal relationship with somebody else. Let's say somebody got you upset. You don't have a right to kill him. Now you have a right to get him upset too, because in Igbo culture, in Nkporo, if somebody gets you upset and you did something to them, they're going to ask you, why didn't you just, if they got you mad, why didn't you, get them mad? Why didn't you do something equal to what they did to you? Why do you have to take a life because somebody got you upset? You can't do that. So you have an eye for an eye. It's part of Ofonogu. Let me say that again. An eye for an eye is part of Ofonogu. A lot of people don't know that, but that's what it's all about. And secondly, or something else that is important. Now, let's say there's an environment where a thief can come in and steal something, maybe steal a corn, a pakpa, that's what we call it. A thief can come in and steal something because the situation is conducive for that thief to come and steal. It's quiet. There's nobody around. Your corn is sitting right there. Your plant. The thief does not have a right to steal it. But if the thief comes and steals your corn, in Nkporo culture, they're going to ask you, did you put anything out there to warn the thief that they cannot come to your property and take something? Ofona Ogu, truth and justice. Did you put up a sign in Nkporo, in my village, in your farm? There's something called Omo. When you fence your farm, when you put a fence around it, you put something called Omo, which is like the yellow part of a palm frond. That is a warning that you cannot come in there and steal anything. Now, if he comes in there and steals something and you break his leg, he was warned. Truth and justice is on your side. He was warned that he cannot go in there and steal anything. But if you do something to him and you didn't have that Omo there and you did something to him, you're in trouble. And if you caused him physical harm and he dies within a year, it's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Your life will be taken. And if you run away, they will look for somebody in your family and they will take your life. The idea behind Ofonogu is behavioral control. Consequences for your actions. And you can't be frivolous with your actions. So we have the, Ofonogu, the symbolism, the righteousness, the uprightness, the patrilineage staff, even though there has to be an evolved sense of understanding, because now you got single parent families where women are the head of the household. You are where your mama is from. So it's not all about the masquerade having the offer, and then next thing you know, you create this sexist aura behind Ofonogu, where it's all about a male thing and not the women. Well, women are violent too. Women have conscience. Women can steal. Women can kill. There's nothing a man can do that a woman can't do. So Ofonogu is not a male thing. And I know that, Igbo culture is not necessarily uniform in the way we interpret things. The culture in Nsukka is not the same as the culture in Aruchukwu. But we have commonalities. For example, Chineke is Chineke everywhere. Chukwu is Chukwu everywhere. How you call it, how you pronounce it is the same thing. Arusi is Alusi. Alusi is the same thing. But you say it differently. Ofonogu is Ofonogu no matter where you go. But its interpretation, what it means, varies from one Igbo society to another. But it is a commonality about it. And that commonality is righteousness, uprightness, truth, and justice. And it is part of the ontology of Chineke. From Anyanwu to Ofonogu to Agunsi or Arunsi to Kamalu to Ani or Allah to Ekuroche, Imomiri to Fijoko and to the ancestors. These are commonalities in Igbo culture, no matter where you go. But the way we interpret or use these commonalities sometimes is oppressive, where you make it a male thing and the female doesn't seem to, be part of the discussion, or what these Ofonogu or some of these rituals that we involve ourselves in Igbo spirituality, like the breaking of the kola and so on and so forth. So we need to not look at Ofonogu from a sexist perspective, but look at the etymology of Ofonogu, which symbolizes Chineke's sense of truth, justice, fair play, good conscience embedded in every person's soul. Ofonogu in the ontology represents the soul and consciousness of a man and a woman.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that distinction, because what some people don't understand in our culture is that everybody matters. Everybody feels comfortable and good about who they are and what position they have what significance they have in society. They feel good about being part of that society. I can tell you very honestly, as a woman, there are just certain things that I don't even want to be bothered with because it's so sexist. And as a human being, I don't like people to discriminate against me. It may not intentionally be a discriminatory thing, but it is our responsibility to see what aspect of it discriminates so that we make sure that we don't continue that part of it. Culture is dynamic. No culture is stagnant. Every aspect of culture does not stay the same. Look at it, the great countries of the world. They have original patterns, original traditions, but there are just certain things that they have to modify to fit the times. That's reality. You hold on to something that doesn't work anymore, it doesn't work, period. All right, no matter how good you think it is, just some aspect of it, some aspects of it, you may want to let go. But I just want to add this, UD, before you say something, and then I have to go to Diba Ochuajas so that Diba Monet can come in as well. For those who don't really understand Ofonogu, the Ofo is from a special tree, okay? It's from a special tree, and this tree is considered to be very spiritual, okay? And you don't, as a matter of fact, you don't go and cut that tree. You know, the leaves from that tree don't even fall because of your activity. It has to fall on its own. It's that sacred. You don't touch it. And some people actually, they have to pour libations. They have to do something to give reverence to that tree before that it can be cut. And this is important for my brothers and sisters to know. There are two kinds of Ofo. One is male and one is female. The female Ofo is bigger. The female Ofo tree is thicker, and that's the one that is used. There's a reason for that, because believe it or not, for those who don't know it, women are considered very close to God. So anything that is related to femininity is ascribed a strength or closeness to Chineke. But over the years, some individuals who don't understand that just make it, everything is patrilineal. And it doesn't always work that way. UD, you have something you want to say? I
just wanted to add something before the other DBS come in. I hadn't alluded to it, but you know, I just think it's very important in this conversation. And I'm just going to read some to you and just explain it right quick. In African traditional attitudes, which is upheld by Chiism, a person has the right to give violence back to violence. Let me reiterate. Give violence back to violence, not give violence back because you are provoked.
Yes.
Okay? I need to make that distinction. Give violence back to violence with this insistence that one must not be the provocateur of the violence. A person must make sure that Oji Ogu, Jirofo, which means that one must make sure that truth and justice are on one's side. And it takes a lot of patience in the face of provocation. Yes. It takes a lot of patience in the face of provocation to ensure that justice is on one's side to vindicate one's action. Now, here's the important thing here. In addition, in old African sense of just human relations, while a provoked person is allowed violence against violence, not against provocation, the insistence is that such a fight with your fellow human must not be allowed to concretize to permanent hate. Disagree, yes, but make up, reconcile immediately. This spirit of fight and make up is expressed in an African Igbo proverb, Nkporo to be exact, Alohongo, Abureni, which means good friends. Good friendship begins after a fight. In fact, after a fight, in some areas or some corridors or some societies in African village, after a fight, the daughter of the people who fought is married off into the other family to make sure that these families are permanently in peace with one another. And you can see some of these things happen in Europe where princes marry princesses. The Prince of England marries a princess from France to consecrate peace.
Yes.
So it's just not an African thing, but I just wanted to put that out there, that one of the most important aspects of Ofonogu is making up after a disagreement, and that violence is not allowed because you were provoked. The violence against violence is an eye for an eye.
Yes. Thank you. You did. You knocked it off the park. True.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're going to have Diba Ochuajas come in. Let me. Okay.
Diba Ochuajas, Diba Ude, okay, Diba Wine. Our listeners and viewers, I also salute you. It's part of Ofonogu. Let me begin by respecting, because if you don't respect people, you don't have offer to speak. So with that, I think I now have the authority to speak. Well, offer, it's one wonderful thing that we can spend the whole of eternity talking about it, and we won't finish up. But we can just bite a little bit of it and the essentials of it and discuss it. Now, my own understanding of as someone in metaphysics ontology is what I call the foundation for ethics, the foundation for morality. And so I call it ontologized ethics or metaphysical morality, spiritual morality.
Yes.
Because the whole thing about the four is that our ancestors looked at the universe as created by Chukwu. They saw a lot of things. They saw regularity. They saw regulation. They saw complementarity. They saw symbiosis. They saw duality. They saw cyclicality. They saw beauty. They saw beauty. That is why, in their own thinking, that is why the axis of the Nkporo, the first man that was created by Chukwu Chineke's, Ifenta, and the first woman is Adam, and they are called Mado. Mado, the beauty that is, the beauty that there is. Mado, Manado, the beauty that expands, that radiates, or the beauty that is. Madiade. Now, for that beauty to always emanate, for that beauty to radiate, we need a symbol of regulation, a symbol of regularity that will regulate the mind. The whole thing about the form, my own understanding, is the regulation of the human mind, so that the human mind can develop the attitude of watch over self. And it is only those who have attained this level of watch over self that are made leaders, from family to the clan, to the village, and the whole community or the whole country. Which is why in Igbo culture, for anyone that must lead, you must have the offer. And this offer must obey the laws of complementarity, symbiosis, cyclicality, all that represents African spirituality. Now, and if we look at the image that was shown, if I can bring it up on the phone again, because I snapped it. The image is here. You see regularity. You look at it there. You can see there 1, 2, 3. And you can see the segmentation. That's regulation. And so the individual is taught how to live a life of moderation, a life of regulation. And even from the offer made from the stick, osisi offer, if you look at the stick or the tree, you see that it's segmentized like the sugarcane stick. So it has regulation. And that means we are told symbolically, we are told that life is best lived in regulation, because that is how the universe is organized. That's how our earth is organized. Everything is in regulation. And we are warned that, the life is sweet, but very sweet hot plate of soup. If you dip your hand and scoop everything at a time, your hand will burn, your tongue will burn, your mouth will burn. So it's bit by bit and moderation and regulation that we live life. And then we are taught complementarity of opposite of friends and enemy, of male and female, of friendship and enemies, and so on and so forth. Then we are also we are also brought up on the three principles of Ofo. The number one is Onye biri ibe ya biri, live and let live. That is why in Igbo culture, as it is in traditional African cultures, you don't convert people from one religion to another.
Yes.
The belief is that conversion is bleaching. You have rendered a person useless.
Yes.
And two, Alpha as a symbol by which we locate the individuality, not the individuality, the personality of the individual. It's not a religion like in Christianity, where you ask everybody to queue behind Jesus Christ and take a queue after the behavior or personality of Jesus Christ, or take a queue after the personality of St. Jude, St. that. No, it's about the person who has incarnated. What is the personality? What is the limitation of his character? Aboya. What is the Eke? Because if we know the Eke, if the Eke is bad, how do we reform the Eke? Because the Eke as a female is the one that attracts the male. The Chi, then the Abu is activated, then the form takes place. So once you know the Abu, you begin to know how to regulate the individual and develop a good human personality. Now, so you are taught the principle of Onye biri ibe ya biri, live and let live. Then the second one is Egbe beru gobere, in case ibe ebe, of course, you know that the eagle and the hawk are predator birds. But they must learn how to let each one perch, one another perch.
Absolutely.
This is the rule of the society, because in the bush, in the forest, no bird in the forest rivals the eagle, not even the lion, as fierce as it is. The eagle is the only bird that operates in the four elements. It can pick any animal it wants from the sea. The speed with which it dives is the speed with which it picks that animal and goes. As mighty as the python is, the anaconda is, the eagle can pick it and go 2,000, 20,000 feet into the air and begin to use the claws to tear it. Then it will leave it before that animal comes down. It picks it up again. By the time it does it 3 times, that animal loses control. And so the eagle can, the same speed, go into fire, pick the animal it wants. It has a screen it uses covering its eye. It picks the animal with the same speed, using his wing to quench the fire, pick the animal it wants, and takes off before the fire wakes up again. It does the same thing on land, on air. So he's a master of the 4 elements. So in the forest, no animal rivals the eagle. In fact, the food eaten by the hawk ends up in the belly of the eagle in the jungle. But in the society, the eagle and the hawk must learn how to live with one another, meaning that the society is made up of the weak, the strong, male, female, and it is a duty of the male to protect the female. It is a duty of the female to reciprocate the male. It is a duty of the strong to protect the young. With all these, and so on and so forth, you get balance, control, regulation, regularity. Then the third one is ndu azu, ndu mmiri. Ma mmiri atala, ma azu anwụla. The life or relationship, the symbiosis, the complementarity between fish and water. Let the river not dry, let the fish not die. Now, so Ofonogu is the centerpiece of societal existence, nation building. Without it, there will be no stability, because there will be no moderation, no conscience, no truth. So these are the things it symbolizes in our traditional spirituality. That today people are losing the intoala, the spirituality of it. And people are going after just the symbolism without knowing what it actually symbolizes.
Yes.
And so we can go on and on and on and talk. I think I like to brief it.
That's
now.
perfect.
That
is perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
And one of the key things is that people are using it. I think that some people are actually running away from what it actually means, truth. You know, they create the fake ones. They don't use the original from the original tree. They don't want to touch that because they know what that signifies. So they create all these, they create something that they can lie, and there will be no ramifications for doing that. So there are people who are using it, but unfortunately, it's neutralizing something as special and spiritual to the African culture. And then the other thing is that we are abandoning the significance of the Ofo, and now we're taking our African priests and now adopting the Ofo of the Catholic Church. You see what I'm saying? We leave ours. You see our priests walking with the Christian Ofo, if I may call it that, and then they abandon their own. Now, just based on what you've learned today, Dr. Monet, what would you like to talk about?
I would like to say, first of all, I would like to thank Chineke, the ancestors, and all the Dibias today for all of that divine knowledge, all of this great knowledge, because this is so important. This is part of our liberation as a people, is understanding and knowing the Ofonoku, because we have gone away from that through Christianity. That was one way that Europeans weaponized us, is that we are big, especially with African Americans, to not regain justice. Someone can kill, like they burned up the whole church, they can burn up the whole city, and the first thing that will come out of African Americans' mouth is, we must forgive.
Mm-hmm.
Justice must come before forgiveness. And it's amazing because Chineke opened my eyes to this a long time ago. So when I'm talking to my clients, when I'm doing a spiritual advising, they say, well, I have to forgive. Someone did something just horrible. I say, no, we have to gain justice first. How are we going to gain justice to regain the balance?
Yes.
Justice comes first. Don't tell me about forgiveness before we have settled it. And justice is what settles it. A Ofonoku is what settles it. As African Americans and people of the diaspora, we must put Ofonoku on our forehead to understand that we're the only ones that are out here when they kill massive amounts of us to say, let's forgive. I am tired of looking on the news to say, okay, they burned up all of these people in the church, and then they show this white boy on there, or a white man or a white woman, and say, okay, we're going to forgive now. You've lost your son, you lost your, or they will burn up the whole city. That is what has been weaponized against us, and that is why we cannot fight for anything that we are owed. Reparations. It's never been settled. Where is our justice? Where is our Ofonogu? Where is about that?
I'm
because we're the first ones, and the church teaches you, oh, just forgive them. No. Let's not forgive them. Where's the justice?
Thank you.
Where's the justice? I know with me, justice comes with Chineke. A lot of times justice comes with Chineke. Someone might do something to me, and Chineke regains that balance. But at the end of the day, it is about justice. I'm not forgiving without justice. And that's true. That's the balance. That is the balance. And people may say, oh, that's so evil, or that's so bad. No, it's not. That is how it should be, because without justice, that person will never learn that what they did was wrong.
Yes.
Yep.
They will not get to balance. They will keep doing the same atrocities.
That's right.
That they have been doing that they did to you, to other people.
That's right.
No, it is not about, and Chineke had dealt with me about that a long time ago. It is not about forgiveness first. It is about justice first. And that is why everything that we have fought for, if you think about it, everything that we have fought for as African people and those of the diaspora, we did not gain or win anything without Ofonogu taking place first. We had to fight for it. We had to fight for it. So
that's right.
This is something that is extremely important, especially with us. This is something that all of our people, especially of the diaspora, needs to know. Because if you notice, even though, you have Caucasians, you have people of other cultures that are Christians and things like that, but I never hear them, if an atrocity happens, saying, we're just going to forgive them. You always hear them, because it's culturally, it's innate. We are gaining justice. But why is it for us? We have, inherited this. Okay, they kill my son, they kill my whole family. I'm just going to forgive everyone.
Yeah. Let the Lord handle it.
Exactly. The Lord will handle that. They can forgive, they'll go to Jesus and they'll pray for his forgiveness because they're saved, and we have to forgive him too, just like the Lord forgave them. And then they go and do something else and it's the same thing. No, that is not how it works.
That's not how it works. I think that at this moment, I'm going to take a quick break so that we can come back. This has been and I'm hoping that everyone is enjoying, is benefiting from this discussion today. And all you DBs, you are on fire. You are spitting knowledge. And it is important for people to know that African people have their own moral concepts that unfortunately is eroding. And we need to revisit it. We need to revisit and reclaim so that we can continue to do what it is that we're supposed to be doing, because we're not. Okay. Yes. So anyway, I just want to share this little video. It's quite interesting. And the thing about it is, it's like we talked about what this principle today is, the month, Uzondo, the month of Ipiala. What is it we're doing? What are you sowing? Because what you sow, you reap. Sometimes we think we have to do big things. Now we don't. Sometimes to please Chineke, to make a difference in the world, you just do little things at a time. And that's part of being honest, part of truthfulness, part of helping humanity. It's just those little things you do. This little girl is 4 years old. She has never seen a doll. She's never seen a doll. She's never seen a toy. She has never seen any such thing. She lives in the camp. And one of our members of our board of directors, when I was going to Nigeria for Mom's funeral, I told her about this little girl in the camp who has never seen a single toy and has never seen a doll. And surprisingly, she sent me a doll. And because I made it clear that this doll has to be a black doll because she's a black kid. So the first image she sees of a doll has to be a black doll, so that she can relate to this doll. So anyway, this is the reaction of this little girl when she got the doll. Here she is.
bun, sugar plum, pumpy umby umpkin. You're my sweetie pie. You're my cupcake gumdrop, snickums, spickums. You're the apple of my eye. And I love you so, and I want you to know that I'll always be right here. And I love to sing 3 songs to you because you are so dear. Stille og si hei alle insekter, alle små dyr. Dere som kryper og klarer til og klyr. Jeg er menneske og jeg er snill. Vær i min hage så lenge du vil.
It's not a big thing, but even as small as they are, did you see the other little mother come to help her with the baby?
No, I think that the youngest one was like, "What is that thing in its mouth?"
So, but the bottom line is, we have the opportunity to make a difference in the world, and as a matter of fact, somebody called me today and says she will help me. Do you think that we can do a doll drive, so that we can have many little kids have toys? So we're gonna go beyond the dolls and also toys, because a lot of those little boys don't have toys either, you know. So anyway, that just tells you that there is nothing that we cannot do, even one little step at a time. So anyway, let's go back to our topic today. And I want to thank Akatia. Actually, she was the one who asked me this question about the Ofonogo. And let's talk about the significance of Ofonogo in terms of how we represent it in our culture through our children. You know, a lot of children have names based on Ofodile. Do you know? Did you know all the other names for Ofo?
My friend Ofodile in Nigeria. We went to high school together. Then I've got a couple of friends with first name or last name of Ofo. So, but I don't beyond those two. I don't really have anybody else outside Ofodile and then Ofo, and all that stuff. Even though Ogu, Nkporo, I have people answer Ogu.
That means Ofo doesn't kill. Those of you who know these names, just post them here, so I will share it. How about you, Diba Ochuajas? Do you know people with the name?
Well, I don't. I have not bothered my mind so much in that aspect.
Yeah.
But I do know there are names like Ogubuaja. And then when we make prayers, instead of saying Ise, we can also say Nofo. That is to say, let it be so too. So another way, instead of Ise, we can say Nofo. We do say, I do know of the name Ofodile.
Yeah.
Ofokara too.
This one is
and then some people's name, like I have one friend, Professor Francis Ofo. So Ofo can also be someone's name.
There's a Ofokansi. There's a name Ofokansi. But I want you to address this. I want you all to address it. And the rest of you participants, if you have any more names with Ofo, that's the significance of Ofonogo. please post it and I'll be showing it here. But I want you to address the fact, and any one of you can address that. We'll start with the fact that there are priests are abandoning it, abandoning the staff. Why are they doing it?
Well, you know, we are in the age of liberalism, capitalism. Everything has been monetized. I use myself here as an example. Every aspect of they are asking us, the Europeans and Americans are asking us to speak about our culture, is the ephemeral aspect of it. They are interested in something like coining titles of some birds flying and perching on the major line, that's electrical tron, and some from falling, then turning to a human being. Is that possible? The spiritual bath and political, seeking political power, election violence, those kind of a thing. Some things like he has the right to sex, but she's too young for sex. That's pedophiles, and those are the things they want us to be talking about our culture. And if you want to, like I keep complaining, they have built their own intellectual foundation in philosophy. They have developed their spirituality into core philosophy, metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, logic, which they now use to direct every other aspect of education and academic affairs. We haven't done that. And for those who want to dig deep into it, no one is encouraging them. The government does not understand that our major problem is that of identity. Aspects of African culture they understand is just to wear the regalia and dance the dance and eat the food. They don't want to hear anything about spirituality. When it comes to spirituality, it's Christian pray for us, Muslim pray for us. And so for the Dibia to survive, you'll see that they now have to adumbrate Christianity into Dibia, or abandon Dibia and begin to practice Christianity. So the mixture comes in here, and that's because of the reality of the day. The reality of the day is that everything has been monetized. You have to even buy water. Even possibly, if possible, you have to buy the air you breathe by getting money to ensure you live in good area. If you don't have money, the air you breathe will be foul because you live in squalor and ghettos, and that means the air you breathe in those places are very unhealthy, filthy. So and that is one factor. Another factor is that only the fewest of Dibias and Babalawos understand the form, Dibia as a form, understand Dibia spirituality. A lot of them understand it as just the rituals, Eja. And the Aja. That's what they understand. And when you ask them what they are doing, they don't understand what they have done. They're just doing it. So they don't have the idea, the notion. They don't have Dibia as a notion, as an idea. And since they don't have it as a notion, as an idea, they don't have a form of it. What they understand is just the rituals, and even the rituals, they don't understand what it means, the significance of it. They don't understand it. And so the danger is a people who have forgotten the spirituality, the intoala of their culture are very, very easy to sway, because a faint memory is very easy to deceive. And now the church is doing something. Islam is very good at that. What Islam does is that it enters into a place and immediately swallows the spirituality of the place to swell up Islam. Now, Catholicism is beginning to do that. And what Catholicism does is that, okay, go into those people, try and represent what they do. If you present your culture this way, that way, is acceptable within Catholicism. And those ones think they have a space they are now occupying. They're seeking for air of importance. Somebody is not listening to them. They can earn some bit of money. and then they see the church as a friend. They do not know that clandestinely, the church is more dangerous than the mosque, because the mosque is like a wild bush Hamatan fire. You can see it. So you either react to it or you allow it to consume you. The church is like that fire burning inside the mattress, and the mattress is made of wool. And so it has consumed the inside and leaving only one little dot that looks like something chocolate. All right. And it's not bigger. That dot is not bigger than the tip of my finger. And so you do not know that fire has eaten up the whole thing. You lie on the bed and it just consumes the individual. And the individual is unable to recover self or come out of the fire. The fire just consumes that individual. That's what the church is. So clandestinely, the church works on your psychology, pretends to be your friend, eats you up, and then we don't understand, since we do not have this consciousness of who we are, problem of identity, we do not have the notion of what Dibia means, the form of it, then it's very easy to deceive us along the other line. And some of us do know, so that we are looking for daily bread, that the most fundamental problem that we have, that we are tackling now, because one thing good with what we are doing now is that it's being recorded. And so being recorded, it is both audio and visual, and it can be encrypted by using some machine. All we said can be encrypted. Now, so the basic problem we have is that of oral tradition. That is why we must try to document every aspect of our spirituality, because what is said with the word of the mouth has gone into the air. It has not been documented exactly. Now, the good thing with what we are doing now is that what we are saying is documented exactly the way we are saying it. And if you look at it, there's a dialectical build-up in our argument from what Okedibia presents to us, what Diba Ude says, what Diba Monet says, what I say. You see that we are building, it's dialectically expanding. We are building blocks. All right? You do not have that opportunity with oral tradition from generation to generation. That means that the argument generated in a particular session, in a period, is not exactly documented the way it took place. And so over time, the memory has forgotten. And you find these, for instance, those of us who are into the Yoruba Ifa, when they do Ifa chants, you discover that along the line, memories forget certain things. And often, Nabo may enter into Obinabo. Aku Nabo may enter into Ogoni Nabo. And so you find that memory, and then before you know it, unwittingly, you find that what is meant for Akari, Obagakekwe, and what is meant for Anya, Abaguimi, what is meant for the eye has entered the nose, and what is meant for the nose has entered the mouth. So this mix-up, these are things we need to straighten up. I think that's my only to take in this. They will.
Nice.
Very good. Very good. There was a question that's posed for us to answer. But I just want to make this comment first before we answer that question. There are many of our priests right now who unfortunately have a tendency to equate the crucifix with offer, or they have switched it so that the offer doesn't matter anymore. It's the crucifix. The question I have for you, Yudi, what is the difference between the crucifix and the offer? This is important because to me, so much truth is now being placed on this image of the Christ. Okay, the Christ crucifixion, as if it's more significant in our tradition. It should be more significant in our tradition than our own concept of what morality and truth is. What are your thoughts on that? This is the crucifix, as you well know.
Well, first of all, there's no comparison. You know, this is just a level of ignorance, and it's also geared towards trying to separate you from 10% of your money. That's one thing about Christianism. You know, in Africa, it's business. That's all this is. There's nothing to compare. There's nothing primordial about the crucifix. Whose religion does Christianity belong to? Is it primordial to the European? No, it's not. Prior to Christianism, what did you have in Europe? You had the Norse culture and you had paganism, Zeus and Thor and all that stuff. These people, even human sacrifices was part of Norse culture. The Vikings did that stuff. Paganism did that too. So there's nothing to compare. Ofana Ogu is primordial. Ofana Ogu is part of the ontological structure of being. It's part of our spiritual culture. Listen, all human systems are products of religion. Let me repeat. All human systems are products of religion. Your culture, your economic system, your civic system, your educational system, all human systems are products of religion. What has happened to us is that the European or the Muslim has come in, like Professor Chidos here had alluded to earlier on, and so did the rest of the panel, is remove what is ours and supplanted it with theirs. So you got a bunch of zombies, you got a bunch of Africans running around. The system in Africa is not primordial to us. It's not built on our religion. All human systems are product of religion. Go anywhere in the world. This holds true. You're looking at the people that are confused, that are switching things. Ofonogu, a crucifix, have nothing to do with crucifix. This is an image of Jesus being sacrificed or being impaled on a cross. Why was he impaled on a cross? Did it have anything to do with Ofonogu? Why was Jesus Christ impaled on the cross?
There's nothing moral about that. That's immorality.
There's nothing moral about that stuff. It has nothing to do with Ofonogu that says that if violence comes to you, you have the right to defend yourself against violence with violence, not with provocation. This is a way to make sure that somebody does not bring it to you. If they do, there's a price to be paid. The idea behind the crucifix and all this stuff is what Dr. Monet had pointed out earlier. Forgiving somebody's transgressions towards you. Giving an out to the oppressor, to the person at the top. Telling you that you don't have to hold authority to account. Just forgive them. God will take care of you when you die. There's nothing in this life for you while you are alive. Love your enemy. Really? Love my enemy. Where do I start with this love? Which enemy am I supposed to be loving? The colonizer? The one that came in, raped my women?
Right.
Enslaved my brothers and sisters? Destroyed Africa? Took my resources? Sodomized the men in front of their wives and family? Cut off penises? Lynched me in daylight and bought tickets for it?
Yes.
Who am I supposed to be forgiving? You tell me to forgive those who are oppressing me because those who are oppressing me know that if I reach a point of no return, I'm coming at them at violence because Ofonogu says that I have a right to defend myself. When violence is perpetrated on me, I have a right to defend myself with violence. These people brought violence to you, but do not want you to retaliate with violence to keep them in check. What kind of religion is that? What kind of spirituality is that? How do you keep them from being violent against other people? By forgiving them? How does forgiveness stop somebody from being violent? He encourages them to be violent because he now tells them that you ain't going to do anything about it.
That's right.
And so far, we haven't been doing anything about it.
Yes.
That's why we have adopted that mentality of, like Diba Yudi said earlier, and that is to turn the other way.
Yes.
We turn the other way. That doesn't solve anything. Think about a child. Let's just think about a child. Okay, if you allow a child, all right, they go to the refrigerator, they pull out the eggs, they smash it on the floor, right? It's a thrill for that child to see those eggs on the floor, and then they'll get on it and they'll stomp on it. Now you say to them, now, Johnny, don't do that again. That is not nice. What do you think Johnny's going to do next time?
Oh.
He's going to find another egg. He's going to smash that stuff on the floor. He'll stomp all over it. Then he'll look at you. What you going to do? And you're going to say, well, now, I told you, don't do that again. That's not nice. Third time, what do you think Johnny's going to do again? Now, when Johnny understands there's a consequence for that behavior, whatever you choose as a parent, that consequence will be, that's when it stops. Then now, don't do it again. It's not going to happen. It's not going to stop. When a thief breaks into your house and you say, it's okay now, the Lord will work it out. That thief is coming back to let the Lord work it out, because they know you ain't going to do nothing about it. Excuse the expression, I may say it that way. You see, there has to be, like you just said earlier, it is not a matter of you. If somebody provokes you, then you go and enact violence against them. But if somebody does enact violence against you, you got to do something.
Yes.
You can't just say, I'm sorry. Well, let the Lord take care of it. You are that chi you're talking about at that moment. It's your responsibility to manage that violence right there. Don't go praying to the spirit that's already there with you. You're supposed to do something at that moment. Not just walk away. Before you say, and I'll let you say what you have to say, but I do have a question for you. And then I have a question for Chiedozie and Diba Monet. Okay, Diba Chiedozie and Diba Monet. Yudi, go ahead and say what it is, because you had your hand out. There's something you want to say.
Yeah, I was just trying to reiterate. Diba, again, Chiedozie had alluded to it. You alluded to it, and so did Diba Monet allude to this. Listen. I mentioned earlier that all human systems are products of religion. We're under a totally different system right now that is not primordial to us. For us to change things in the society, in the family, the society is made up of the nucleus, the macro and micro part of the family, right? The macro part is your family itself. It starts here. And the macro is the general community. We need leadership that understands that all human systems are products of religion. We really need that. China has that, thinks that way. That's why, culturally speaking, you just can't come in there and impugn it.
No, you can't.
Japan understands that. You just can't come in there and just do what the heck you want to. Jesus saves and it's over. No. This idea of forgiveness of sin is an out for the sinner. An eye for an eye is part of African culture, a tooth for a tooth. Even in the Bible, it says that. Does it not?
Okay, I got this question for you that I want you to answer, Dibia. Thank you for that comment, but I want you to answer this question. It came from Akachim Zubike. And then what I'm going to do from now on till the end of the program is I want to give voice to the participants in this forum. So, because some of them have some really good questions that they need somebody to answer for them. ChiismLive, how do we get back to this kind of society, even only starting in Igboland? In other words, how can we reenact the concept of Onogu in its etymology, in its origin? Go ahead.
Well, it starts with the conversation we're having right now, right? It starts with media. Diba Chiedozie had talked about that. You talked about it, not just in this segment, but all the segments that we've talked about. So has Dr. Monet. It starts with this. Even the our patrons, the people that are listening to this show right now, getting to people, having people listen to this show, putting this thing out there and insisting upon it without being bashful, without any care about any kind of ramifications, because a lot of times we don't get out and say what we need to say because we think we might lose a job if we do. We think that this may happen to us, we do. We may be shunned by our family. A lot of the conflicts that you have and the reason why some of these things is not being practiced is really because of the micro part of the community, which is the family. You have people within a family that understand what we're talking about. Then you have the majority of them that are lost to Christianism or to Islam and what have you. In some Islamic communities, if you have a discussion like we're having right now, it's death. You get excommunicated in a Christian family if you're over here talking about the primordial nature of our existence and what it is that we need to do. Here's the funny thing. We today think that we have overcome anything, which we haven't really overcome anything. The only thing we did was have somebody take the chains off our hands. But up here, the chain is still there. Our forefathers, the Ahines, the Ziks, the Kwame Nkrumahs, the Patrice Lumumbas, the Marcus Garveys, the Malcolm X's, these men were willing to stand and damn the consequences of telling the truth, of us standing on their shoulders now, what they sacrificed, the guts that they had to get out here and talk about the truth. Ofona Ogu, truth and justice. Dr. Monet talked about that earlier on in this show.
So, because I want everybody to answer the question as briefly as you can, because there's so many questions you guys are going to answer. I have tons of them. So what Diba Ochuajas is saying, in effect, we have to reenact that. As a matter of fact, would you agree that we should start in our own families? Start in your own families. You do it at home. Talk to your family members. That's how it just starts to grow. Thank you so much. Now, this question, it's not really a question, but it's a comment, and I want you to comment on that. This is Dr. Monet. This is again from Atachi Azubike. She says the level of sophistication is clearly superior in terms of Ofonogo. It maintains social behavior without one police officer, without one prison, without any military industrial complex, without weapons of mass destruction, nor thousands of soldiers sent to die over offended egos. Our way, simplicity and genius. What are your thoughts about that?
Okay, could I hear? I apologize. My kids had come in the room, so I didn't hear the whole question. Yeah. That you.
It made a comment, and I just want you to build on that comment. And she's talking about the sophistication of the Ofonogo, the level of sophistication, and I'll just post it here. The level of sophistication is clearly superior. It maintains social behavior without one police officer, one prison, no military industrial complex, weapons of mass destruction, nor thousands of soldiers sent to die over offended egos. Our way was simplicity and genius. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. This is something that we definitely have to get back to. And like Akachi is saying, you don't need a big police force, military, and things like that if we're understanding this, if this is acceptable in our society, that if you know you do something to someone else, that there will be consequences. It's just like when you're talking about kids, when you talk about a bully, you know, a kid is getting bullied and bullied and bullied. How do you stop the bully? What do? You have to fight back. You have to fight the bully back, and then usually the bully will stop. Whatever you have to do to fight back. And so that just innately, if you're looking at children, this is a part of our innate part of being a human being, is enacting this. But through Christianity, and then that was just through the control, maintaining control over the population. Don't fight back. For anything that I do to you, I want you just to forgive. I want you just to do not fight back.
Thank you.
Just forgive. No, that is not even a part of our innate nature. We have to get back to that. And we can get back to that through our families, through shows like this. We're doing this here. We're fighting against what is injustice for our people. A lot of times we talk about what is the injustice of our people here on the platform and not worrying about what will be the repercussions. My whole family is Christian. I have no family that knows any other type of spirituality. I don't even have Muslims in my family. That's foreign to them. So, what I'm saying and how I'm standing and whatever they have to say, I'm taking that chance because I would like to regain justice for my people. If they understand it or they don't, they'll eventually understand it.
Thank you.
But I have to enact this. It starts with us. Enact it yourself.
Yes. Thank you for that response. I appreciate that. I'm going to go to the next question. This is for Diba Ochuajas. You guys on fire. You're hitting it all off the park. Diba Ochuajas. This is a simple. It's a simple comment. This comes from Ukunna Ugochukwu, and he says, "Any religion that teaches you to love your enemy was created by your enemy." Yes. Fill that up.
Yeah, I was really going to say that I think these today is not just the four of us that are on fire. Akunna, Ugochukwu, and Akachi.
Akachi, they're killing it.
They're killing it. Yes. So, and I think, okay, Dibia, sometimes you should think about intersections where some of these people have to come in to enrich the discourse. So really, to begin from there, because I was going to talk about that before you pointed it, gave it to me to comment, and my comment was going to be brief, and one straight comment is that I don't know who said it, but I do know somewhere it is written. I've forgotten the name and where I read it. Say the practice of forgiveness is a religion for the slaves, for the weak. Mm-hmm. Because if you go by the Christian doctrine, their God don't forgive, which is why he will never forgive Satan. Mm-hmm. Satan and his followers must perish in eternal fire, where they will burn forever. Mm-hmm. So their God don't forgive. I think somebody posted that to me once, my student, a pastor, and I told him that their God should set example. And once their God is exemplary by forgiving Satan, then I will concur. Then that's one thing I wanted to comment. The other one was a brief comment on what Diba Monet said about justice. And I just want us to connect it with Peter McIntosh. Everyone is asking for peace. No one is asking for justice. Yes. I don't want no peace. I want equal rights and justice. Yes. That's no good.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So, and then the last thing I'm going to say is about the cross. My idea about the cross is our four winds. Eke, Ori, for Nkwo, because Eke and for go together. Ori and Nkwo go together, representing the crossroad. Yes. The crossroad. And the thing about the crossroad is the crossroad is about the people that are having psychiatric problem, or people who are troubled. All right. And so now that's what it represents. My only idea, what it represents our culture. People who are troubled today. Who are those troubled? There are those who have mental cases, those who are traumatized, those are orphans. Once you have one big problem that you cannot handle yourself, you are at the crossroad. That's what it means for us. And so I think what the cross should be reminding us is that we are at the crossroad. And as people at the crossroad, when elders fall to the ground, they look backward. It is time for us to go look backward to reclaim our spirituality.
Yes. Thank you. Now, thank you so much. I'm going to answer this one, or at least I'm going to comment on this one. This is again Akachi Azubike. Girl, you on fire. Thank you for sharing all this. She says, I'm going to say it. There is no justice under Christ. Why not? because they can simply ask Jesus for forgiveness. They are guaranteed heaven because Jesus died for their sins. It's antithetical to African logic, ethics, and spiritual code of conduct. That's right. As if for what you seek, so shall you find. Whatever you do is going to come back to you.
Yes.
When you do good things, goodness come to you. When you do negative things come to you. Nobody died for your sins. Nobody is going to do anything to expunge you from the evil that you do. You are fully responsible for it. We even believe that when you reincarnate, you may come back because of the evil you did in your past world. You may come back as a tree stump or a stone or something inanimate. Do you understand? So we take it very seriously when we commit crimes. Commit a crime, you are going to pay the price for it. Nobody died for it. In some communities, they'll shame you into doing it, but they'll shame into asking for forgiveness. Okay, but the forgiveness they are saying, they're telling you, oh, okay, you're going to be forgiven. Now you're going to go to heaven and go and live with God at his feet and all that stuff. What we say to you is that there are communities where when somebody does something wrong, it depends again on the level of the evil. They will tell you, they will convince you that you're better than that. The elders will bring you to encircle you and start to remind you, you are better than that. You are from this village. You're from this community. We don't act like that. We're expecting you to do better, blah, 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 that kind of thing. Encouraging you to see your way forward, to not engage in those things. But they don't promise you that you're going to go anywhere where there's peace forever because somebody died. What kind of God is it that will crucify his son for you? What kind of nonsense is that? Would you ask any one of you, when you glorify that God crucified Jesus, would you crucify your child?
It's as nonsensical as a tank at the beanstalk.
You crucify your child because you crucify one child because the other child did something wrong. What kind of parent would you be? We need to start to think. Who just raised his hand? Okay, go ahead. And I have a question for you.
Yeah, just a bit of information on this crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's a culmination of a culture that Abraham was departing from. The call of Abraham is not about a call for a man who was seeking for God. It was a call of a man who was seeking to negate, to vanquish a culture he considered bad, sacrificing the firstborn of anything, animal, tree, child, human child, to their God. That's what Abraham was running away from. When he got to Egypt, he was taught how to vanquish that culture. It is us Africans who taught them how to vanquish that culture. Yeah. Marry a maid, Egyptian, when she gives birth to a boy, the firstborn child born of a man is the one that comes from his loin, not the one given birth by the wife. It could be a child out of wedlock. That's his firstborn child. So when it came to sacrifice, the time to fulfill the sacrifice, Sarah, the mother of Isaac, go and read that portion of the Bible very well, gave Isaac the son the key. And the key gave to him is that remind that God that he is a God who is faithful and never takes what does not belong to him. And Isaac doesn't belong to him. The person that belongs to him to be sacrificed was Ishmael.
Yes.
And that was why he also had to remind his father, Abraham. That was the culture they were trying to overcome. And then a ram was used to replace Isaac. Now, the quarrel between Islam and Christianity is that Islam insists that the ram, that culture, at the point of Isaac, of sacrificing the firstborn child of the man, the male, was stopped at the point of Isaac, and the ram represents, it symbolizes that. The Christianity went on and on and on and continued the story to Jesus Christ. And that is why Muslims disagree that Jesus Christ is not a Messiah. He is a prophet. That's a simple quarrel.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Wow. Yes. Okay, I've got a question. This is not a question, really. This is a comment that somebody made. This is for Yudi to address. Morning Star has said this. Enter through the narrow gate means that only a fraction of the population will reach the paradise promised to those resurrected from death, like Jesus, and who see without eyes. 144,000 resurrected. That leaves a whole lot of us out. You tackle that one.
And nothing to tackle. The question of the comment just answered itself. You ain't going nowhere. They've already been selected from the 12 tribes of Israel. So you could go to church every Sunday all you want to. You could help Creflo Dollar buy another plane and jet stream all over the world. All these crazy bandits calling themselves pastors in Nigeria with their mega churches, all the Jerry Falwell kind of people in this world, you are not going anywhere. I didn't make it up. Just go read the Bible. What was that book called? The last book of the Bible. I can't remember. It starts with an R or something.
Revelation.
Revelations. Just go read it. You're wasting your time. Listen. I says that the true definition of civilization is not technological know-how or economic opulence, but when two people see eye to eye, tolerate each other, and defend to death the right of the other to survive. Therein lies the true definition of civilization. And since the Christian or the Muslim or anybody that belongs to any other religion or Abrahamic religion that does not recognize your right as an African to exist within your own spiritual culture is not civilized. So stop looking at the European or the Arab or anybody else as being more civilized than you are, because they cannot live up to this moral behavior that I just exemplified. Any religion that does not teach love and live love is no true religion at all. So you're backing up the wrong tree as an African. If your spiritual experience has nothing to do with your primordial core, you feel it right here. That's who you are. Everybody else is defending their religion and their culture except you. You're beholden to somebody else. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, run astray. You hate yourself. And because you hate yourself, as a black man or woman, you will never progress or compete with the rest of the world until you come back to the fore, until you breathe in and say, I am what I am by the Almighty Chineke. And if you don't like it and you bring violence to me, then I will invoke Ofonogu on you.
Yes. It's important that everybody understands that. Chiism does not advocate violence. Chiism advocates peace. However, we advocate Ofonogu. If somebody should initiate violence, actually hurt you in any way, in a violent manner, you have the right to defend yourself. You're supposed to go and find fault and enact violence against them, but if it does happen to you, you have the right under Ofonogu to defend yourself and carry justice. Truth and justice is what we're about. This one is for Dr. Monet. This is from Morning Star as well. It says Judaism and Christianity were never a black religion. Blacks were also never Egyptians. You're just now reaching to something of your own. Congratulations. Your thought on that?
I totally agree. We must realize, especially being of African people and those of the diaspora, if you're talking about Americans, it's just like, we have a lot of people that are going into the Egyptian tradition. And I think it's a matter of just ignorance. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying it as we just don't know. A lot of people are not familiar with other religions or traditions in Africa. Besides, you hear about Ifa. Some of us are learning about that in the diaspora. You hear about the Egyptian religions or traditions, but we don't know enough about our traditions. We came here from West Africa. And so we must understand that you know, a lot of these things that we're, you know, that we're getting into, know what we're getting into. We were not all the way in Egypt, you know, many of us that are, you know, of the diaspora. I mean, some people here may be watching or watching later that may be in other parts of Africa. But for me, I know that my lineage is from West Africa. And so we must start to learn and embrace those traditions. And we must start to love ourselves. You know, so we must learn how to love ourselves and enact justice. We have not received justice as a people. That's a major topic. We have not received justice. Christianity and Judaism, we are in denial. I was just talking to a family member of mine, and he said, well, I know my truth, which is Christianity. I know my truth is the truth, and that all of these, you know, Christianity comes from Africa. Okay, let's get out of the denial. Let's stop. So you're saying, and then he was also telling me, well, the people that came here on slave ships were Christians. Now let's, you know, come on. I said, when you show me any of that, you know, I don't know. When you can prove to me that that was true, you know, maybe I can believe that, but there's no documentation that we came here as Christians. You know, Christianity, that is not our religion. Let's get out of denial as a people. Islam is not our religion. Those are the religions of our oppressor. Now let's just, you know, stop all of the, you know, the craziness and get to truth.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Just a minute. I have a comment. You can make your comment and then follow up with this what I'm about to read. Go ahead, UD. You have a little comment you want to make, so I can give you what I want you to address.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with Dr. Monet, or
Okay.
just trying to make a comment regarding the fact that somebody said that some Africans that came here were Christian. Well, let's assume, if you look at Ghanaian history, the Ghana Empire, right? Over 1,000 years ago, about 1,200 years ago, there were Ghanaians that were trading with Europeans because of business reasons, converted to Christianity, just so they could understand the European better. That doesn't mean that Africans that came over here were primordially Christian. So yes, people get things twisted. I could convert to Judaism right now or convert to Buddhism, and then something happens to me and I end up in Japan. Does it mean that because I ended up there that Africans are, you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody's personal conversion has nothing to do with your primordial core. So I just want to point that out.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Now here's a comment. Again, this is from Akachi. Cecil B. Rhodes, Leopold, Sir John Hawkins, etc. People responsible for over 100 millions of Africans' deaths and torment. They were covered by the blood, of course, you know, the blood of Jesus, and they are now in heaven. Yet we are condemned to eternal hell. I will serve no unjust God. Talk to me.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Because that God in the Bible has nothing to do with the God of Africa. It has nothing to do with my primordial core. As I mentioned earlier, Christianity offers an out for the sinner.
Yes.
It offers an out for the oppressor. It tells you that if you raped your mother and your father and your sister and you beheaded everybody in your family, all you have to do is accept the Lord Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and your sins are forgiven.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If this is how you live your spiritual life, then you're living a life without any consequence. Christianism, covered by the blood and all that nonsense, is an excuse for the oppressor. And you, as the oppressed, you're supposed to turn the other cheek because your reward is in heaven after you die, after your oppressor had choked the life out of you. As far as you're living in this world, it's okay for somebody to stop all over your behind. Wait till you get to heaven. God will judge them there. But this same God that will judge them and send them to hell will not judge them as long as they agree and accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. What kind of nonsense is that? There is no penalty for being Christian. Can I say that again? There is no penalty for being Christian, because as a Christian, your sins can be forgiven as long as you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Or if you're fortunate enough to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior before you die. But if you don't do it and you die, then your penance is hell. You are only judged if you don't accept. But as long as you accept, whatever you do in this world will be forgiven. That's a bunch of crap. That's my comment.
That's right. That's right. That's very good.
Yes.
Dr. Chiadozie, somebody made a comment here. I'd like you to comment on that. This is let's see. This is Morningstar. He says this: Allah never existed. Muhammad never resurrected. Muhammad was just a pedophile, not a prophet. Why does he say pedophile? Why is that a significant comment to make?
Oh, well, you know, even here, when I did my youth service in the north, that was in Niger State, the town known as Kagara was just 100 kilometers away to Kaduna State, to Birnin Kebbi, the border town between Niger State and Kaduna State. Of course, it's a common thing among Muslims in the north and the Arabs. 6-year-old kid girl is just mature enough. And I do know that our friend then, 1991, Dr. Kenneth, who was in the hospital, had a report of so many girls that were brutally molested, that were broken the first time. And the person who did it is someone old enough to be sometimes their grandfather. And one pathetic one was that the hands and the legs were tied to the four corners of the bed and brutally taking possession of. This kind of a thing is common among the Arabs. And in spite of all of these, they are holy. And so that's why I say holiness is a thing of the mind. Because if you go by the Christianity, nothing about Islam is holy. And if you go by Islam, nothing about Christianity is holy. In fact, Islam starts on the point of negating Christianity. The whole thing about Christianity, like Diba Ochuajas said, it's believing in Jesus Christ as the only begotten Son of God. But Islam has it written that God forbid that God should begot a son. Those who say that God begot a son speak monstrous falsehood. So Christianity begins, Islam begins on the note of negating Christianity. And by the Christian criterion, no Muslim or no non-Christian can enter heaven. So for me, holiness or sacredness is a thing of the mind. And so if the Muslims, for the Muslims, especially for the Arabs, Muhammad is not only holy, he is in fact the last of the prophet, because pedophiling little girls is part of their culture. And so it doesn't mean anything to them. That's my take in it.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. One more. I want each one of you to make your parting comment because we have only about 5 minutes left, 6 minutes, less than 6 minutes left. So I'm going to start with you, Yudi. Please keep it brief. Your closing remarks, please.
Yeah, self-love goes a long way in building a level of spiritual awareness. You have to love yourself. There's nothing wrong with being African. There's nothing wrong with your ancestors. All human communities have their own ancestors that they revere. Do the same thing. When you understand that all human systems are products of religion, and you revere your ancestors and understand that you are here today, the knowledge that you have today is because of those that came before you. That will go a long way in raising our level of confidence where we could maybe, by the grace of Chineke, compete in the 21st century.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Yudi. Thank you. Diba Ochuajas.
Yeah, to add up what the submission of Diba, for us to move up and begin to compete healthily and perhaps make up for our past in the 21st century, we have to copy two people. These two people, one is the brother, one set are brothers to Jesus Christ, the other set are cousins to Jesus Christ, Jews and Arabs. Both of them have defiantly rejected the New Testament. Why? Because the New Testament of the Bible is a Greco-Roman conspiracy against the world. That we should not forget. So we should behave like the Jews and the Arabs. Hold on to our culture and our spirituality and nothing more. They won't.
Thank you. They were fantastic. Wonderful. Dr. Monet.
I would say that with all of this, we must enact justice and get back to enacting justice in our community. There is many things that we still have not gained the justice that we should have. And that justice is the justice of not only us, but our ancestors, which is so important. A lot of things that we're going through and a lot of the trials and tribulations that we're experiencing is because we have disconnected from our ancestors. We have not pursued like we should the justice of our ancestors and everything that has happened to our ancestors. So enacting this, everything that we talked about today, and getting back to our African ways will be able to liberate the minds of our people.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I want to thank all of you for joining this very, very important segment, and I think it was quite exciting. And I'll say, Dr. Monet, Diba Ochuajas, and Diba Ochuajas, you guys added tremendously to the wonderful, wonderful discussion today. And certainly I want to thank our viewers who contributed. Akachi Azubike, thank you. Akachi has changed her name formally to Akachi Azubike. There's a whole lot more to it, but that's who she is now. So welcome to the Igbo experience, my darling. We love you. Thank you to Charles, Ukuna Charles. And Ukuna Ugochukwu, he's no longer, he's pulled the Charles from his name. He's all Igbo now. So congratulations and thank you so very much for your contribution. Everything you said today was on point. Morning Star, thank you. We can all agree to disagree. There are some important comments that you made and some that we're still mulling over. But thank you for your contribution. We appreciate you. I want to thank let's see who else joined us today. And Madia, thank you. Madia Onyoha, thank you. Emeka Onyoha, thank you. Namdi Onyoha, Osimiri, thank you. And some other individuals that I see their numbers, but I don't see their names. So thank you all for joining us. And for my part, in closing, I just want to remind us that whoever has your foreholder decrees and condemns or approves what is believed to be what Chineke wants. So that means that person is sacred. That person has to deal with sacredness, honesty. It's representing Chineke and representing ancestors. And that person has to understand that you don't come and speak on behalf of Chineke and the ancestors with lies. You don't come to speak on behalf of the Chineke and ancestors with the Ofonogu of some foreign nation. You have to have the pride and dignity to use your own as you're supposed to use it. You have the responsibility to foster a sense of unity and conformity about all among our people. It is your responsibility. Otherwise, don't call yourself an African Dibia. Don't call yourself an African priest. Don't call yourself an African anything if you reject anything African. And so it is. I thank all of you for joining us today. You guys have been wonderful. We're going to have another. Oh, one more thing. Let me just add congratulations to Ukuna Ugochukwu for being one of the recipients of the OMSI and POP Solutions certificates. Well, not certificates. Help me out here. Scholarships from Google. So that he's going to become an engineer, as well as we had over 85 people show up, and we have another 65 showing up this weekend. So all these people are going to become engineers through our effort. Let's remember, we are all Chiis, so we are participating in this wonderful thing. So congratulations to every recipient of the scholarship. We're looking forward to you becoming engineers. And don't forget us. When you start making that money, I'm going to be calling you to make donations. That's the way it should be. So thank you again. Thank you, Ukuna. Thank you, everybody that I've named. Thank you for joining us. And every good thing comes to an end. And so we are going to check out now. Yagazieno.